I now give the floor to His Excellency Mohan Pieris, Permanent Representative of Sri Lanka.
It is said that progress on disarmament cannot await a world free of war, nuclear proliferation, or terrorism. Progress on non-proliferation cannot await the elimination of the last nuclear weapon. Advancing the peaceful uses on nuclear energy cannot be held hostage to either disarmament or non-proliferation. Madam Chair, it is little over 3 weeks since we gathered together as a community of nations to adopt a Pact of the Future. In the Pact, we reaffirmed the threats to international peace and security and the growing risk of nuclear war, and the interdependence of peace and security, development, and human rights. Almost at the same time, we adopted the Pact of the Future. We are faced more than ever with the stark reality of the precariousness of the global security architecture and its potential to engulf all of us in a human catastrophe. Global tensions have heightened with no signs of abating. It is said that war or peace is created in the minds of men. It is in the minds of those who have the means and the will to wage war that peace should be instilled, Madam Chair. Multiple agreements and solutions reached will have no impact if the will to make peace triumphs over war. Triumphs over war. Madam President, today 9 nuclear powers possess more than 12,000 nuclear weapons, with additional investments being made in their modernization. 6 other states host foreign nuclear weapons on their territories, and 28 others allow the use of nuclear weapons on their behalf as part of the military alliances and other agreements. Many delegations, including Sri Lanka, have long highlighted the dangers of a lack of progress on the disarmament pillar of the NPT. The only guarantee against the threat of use of nuclear weapons is their total elimination. It must be said that the doctrine of nuclear deterrence, which seeks to justify the possession of nuclear weapons ostensibly as a means to avoid war, runs out of validity very quickly when tensions escalate. It is not difficult to appreciate that, as former SG Ban Ki-moon observed, that the world is overarmed and peace is underfunded. At a time like this, the need to adhere to the basic principles of multilateral disarmament cannot be overstated. The NPT and the CTBT have been the bedrock of the multilateral disarmament regime, painstakingly put together by far-sighted leadership and the commitment of many. Madam President, my delegation notes with satisfaction the effective operations of the Chemical Weapons Convention as a comprehensive multilateral treaty banning an entire category of weapons of mass destruction, providing for a verification system, and promoting the use of chemicals for peaceful purposes. We regard the Biological Weapons Convention as an important tool that seeks to regulate the spread of another category of WMDs. However, the lack of a verification system continues to pose a challenge to the effectiveness of this convention. We support the call for the resumption of multilateral negotiations to conclude a non-discriminatory legally binding protocol. Madam President, we reiterate the importance of the peaceful use of outer space and underline the vital necessity for the outer space domain to be free of militarization and weaponization. We welcome the adoption by the United Nations Disarmament Commission of the recommendations to promote the practical implementation of transparency and confidence building measures in outer space activities with the goal of preventing an arms race in outer space. We also welcome the adoption by consensus on the 16th of August 2024 of the report of the governmental experts on the substantive elements of a legally binding instrument on the prevention of arms race in outer space. Madam President, Sri Lanka welcomes the convening of the 4th Review Conference on Small Arms and Light Weapons in July this year, and the consensus adoption of the outcome document. In the context of the heightened tensions and the large number of conflicts that we witness today in many theaters of conflict, it is a fact that the proliferation of illicit small arms and light weapons has contributed in no small measure to exacerbating conflict situations leading to immense human suffering and further complicating any possible resolution, even by addressing root causes. Madam President, on the matter of ICT security, Sri Lanka welcomes consensual adoption of the third annual progress report. We welcome the fact that the OEWG has made substantial progress with tangible results that can be advanced further. During the last 2 years, we have had multiple resolutions on ICT security, and it is hoped that this year all of us can agree on a single resolution. It is a fact that safety and security in the cyber domain are a vital underpinning to the achievement of peace. Madam President, Sri Lanka was pleased to join the group of countries led by Austria to bring forth Resolution 78/251 on lethal autonomous weapon systems. We are pleased to once again be a party to the resolution this year, which seeks to build on the views expressed by member states. It has been the position of my delegation that negotiations should commence on a legally binding instrument that takes into consideration the legal, technological, ethical, humanitarian, and security perspectives of autonomous weapon systems. New and emergent technologies, if not developed within an agreed framework, may eventually turn out to be another weapon of mass destruction. When one surveys the peace and security landscape today, one cannot miss the fact that military expenditure has escalated even while a significant gap exists in development finance and climate finance to achieve the sustainable development goals. On the other hand, there is heightened activity to seek militarization that threatens the whole world, while on another global threat, tangible action by those able to do so falls far short. Madam President, are we doomed, I ask the question, for destruction one way or another? In the context of violence, death, destruction, and the rhetoric of recrimination and the threat of counter-violence being freely disseminated with even greater vigor, one cannot but be reminded of the saying by the great Mahatma when he said, "An eye for an eye only makes the whole world blind." May I wind up by reminding ourselves that we have been created to inhabit the earth and not to destroy it. If we don't get this right, Madam Chair, nothing we care about and nothing we work on will ever matter. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished representative of Sri Lanka for his